what's up everyone? So we have this Honda generator here. It's an EM2500. It's not an inverter machine. It's just standard 2500 watt. Looks like it's 8.3 volts, 120. It's not 240 or anything. It's lights, maybe small refrigerator generator that you would use, stuff like that. But I'm going to keep this one because I do have a project that I need it for. Anyway, I picked this up for $25. Anything Honda that's a legit Honda, which this is not that cheap. I'll tell you a story behind it. Dude was going to rent a place at the coast. If you're unfamiliar what a coast is, it's what they call a beach if you live up north because the water's too cold and there's no way you're going to be swimming or potentially even having a good time because it's probably going to be raining. My thoughts of that on the side. Rented a yurt, campground, I don't remember, something like that. I was going to throw this in the back of his truck, go out. He had the presence of mind to go ahead and pull on the cord, see if it turned on, make sure everything's good to go. He said he literally drove to the gas station that day, filled the tank up, not the can, but the tank up, a little odd, but okay, and then he tried to start it when he got home. That was about a month ago. About a month ago, because he put this on the internet for about $100. I threw a low ball offer because I'll show you why. And eventually, a month later, he messaged me like, "Hey, if you're still interested, come and take it. $25." So I think that's pretty good. The reason why is this: in his ad, he says he tried to clean it, didn't want to take off the cover, and ended up just taking the bowl off. Lost the bowl, lost the nut. Lost everything except when he was trying to take the jet out, it completely stripped out. I looked at it a little bit and he's not joking. That thing is straight up trash. So you can't take the jet out. Easy out maybe would be a good idea, stuff like that. Or you could just buy a new carb, which is in that box, which I think we're going to go ahead and do right now. Let's see what we have going on here. Let's move that out of our way. And looks like, let me tell you the full story. The same person had a EU2000 that he originally, actually pretty good condition. Like I said, he said he didn't use this very much, and I'll explain why. He has a EU2000, which is a inverter generator that he primarily used for that type of thing, and this is kind of like his backup. He went to go try that one as well, and both didn't work. And when you apparently are leaving the next morning and it's like he said the evening, you don't want to go there without power for like 3 or 4 days. At least he didn't. So he plopped himself into the Home Depot parking lot, got himself I think it was a Champion. Which, don't get me wrong, I have no issues with Champions. It's just definitely not an upgrade. But I think it will, for what he needs. I mean, if you use this every day, yeah, it probably would be a good idea to have a Honda. Or if you're like myself and you got a pretty good deal. The reason why I'm using a wrench is this bar is kind of a pain to get up around. Take the breather out. So by using a wrench, it kind of makes things a little bit easier. There's almost always a bolt on the bottom attached to some bracket. Oh yeah, it's right there. Ah, there we go. So anyway, downgraded. He got home, he put on there and that. So now you know the 100% full story of this machine. So, It's set to off, okay. Something on the fuel line is kind of making this difficult. Like a little loop. I would take that loop off. There we go. Don't know why that's necessary, but apparently Honda thought it was. Let's go ahead and take a look at our other one. According to the aftermarket Amazon, this should be the right one. And I don't think it is. We might have to do some funkery. What I mean by that is a lot of these carbs are almost identical. The only thing that really changes is how they connect to like the choke and stuff like that. So we might have to take that stuff off and shove it in ours. It's kind of the problem getting aftermarket carbs. You don't really know what you're getting. It says it's for whatever machine, but it doesn't mean that it is. Yeah, even the back is different. Like the throttle. But luckily for us, we'll need that later, I'm sure. Let me make sure it's what this is. Maybe they just sent me the wrong one. I mean, do a little thinking on this. So this is the old carb, and like I said, it's pretty stripped out there, but I'm going to try something anyway. I'm going to put a little WD-40 in there. How about that kind of soak in? Now, this might be too small, but what you really, really want is a flathead that is perfectly sized, width, girth, everything. Now, because this is a little girthed out, we might be looking for something that's a little girthier. Okay, I know, I'll stop. But when you do this, you really want to press down hard and really hope that it comes out. In fact, I'm not going to do this right here on the camera because I need to put this in like a vise. And that was a trick. Now, even though it was kind of mostly stripped out, there was enough like shavings in there, I think, to kind of like really brace it. And look at that. We got our jet out. I don't know if I'm going to be reusing that. Our emulsion tube is also kind of stuck in there, but that I can deal with. We're going to take that off. This off. I mean, look at the black goo. Also, it's not really wanting to like turn. There we go. That's good news for two reasons. One, I don't have to change all that crap off the top of it. And two, that carb, let me explain something. There's a difference between like something was 5/16 of an inch compared to like 8 millimeter, which is such a minuscule difference, but in certain rare occasions it can be a big, it could be a deal breaker. I could deal with that. But when the ad specifically says it's for this machine and it's not even close, you have to realize that the jetting is also going to be all tore up. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to find a bowl. Now, if I needed to, I could use the bowl on the other machine. The other carb. I don't really want to because, to be honest, that thing is going to go directly to the return bin. And I'm going to throw this in a carb cleaner. If you don't have a carb cleaner, then you just want to spray with some carb spray. Get all this gunk out. Make sure this is free. Make sure this is nice and clean and free through all the little ports and passageways. We're going to want to take the emulsion tube out, which is not going to be fun because I'm sure it's pretty gunked in there. I don't know, it came right out. So that's good. So I'm going to find a bowl and put this in the cleaner, and then we'll be back. And we're back. So here's the problem. The needle on there, it's a little caked up with some garbage, and as much as I try to get this clean, it's kind of really caked on there, but I'm not too worried about that. That will probably dissolve in the gas once we actually start getting it running, but we have our prize. I got all the smuts off this, the emulsion tube. I cleaned a new jet. Well, new to this machine at least. I'm just going to put that bad boy back in there. Now, here's a question about the jetting. I don't 100% know what it should be. And I mean, based on what I'm seeing on here, I believe this is a 159cc engine, and that's basically due to the fact that it says that on the side. So I put a jet that's off of either a GX 160 or a GVX 160, whatever the horizontal version is. Honda lawnmower carb. It's basically exactly the same. In addition to that, I found a bowl. I'd cleaned it, put it in the ultrasonic cleaner because it had a little bit of garbage in it. It's not perfect, but it is the bowl that should be on here. And all the staining is exactly just that, staining. There's no garbage or anything like that. So I'm hoping we'll be fine. But we'll test it out before we put it on the machine. My main concern is that needle. There's a little bit of junk on there. I very well might change the needle out. Oh, it looks like delivery man wasn't too happy with whoever's turning the corner. Inlet, that's where that needs to be, on the opposite end. Pretty simple. Now, put the bowl nut on. I found another one off of the carb that I took the bowl off of. Now, if you don't have an extra bowl, you could, like I said, take it off the other one if you're in the same position that I am, or you can return it as buying other carb, whatever you want to do. To be honest, if you get it off Amazon, they're not going to check, so you might as well at least give it a try. As long as you don't damage anything, you get it put back together right, should be fine. I blew through that, by the way. I don't see anywhere on the machine that says it has anything to do with idle, so I'm pretty sure it's just going to be the standard type where it just kind of runs at the same RPM all the given time. But just in case, let's put this in where it used to be. The dirt on there will kind of tell us where it was. Seems a little far, but there we go. Now, let me explain something to you. The story I was told is that there was a lot of junk in the bottom. Now that tells me there's a lot of junk in the bottom of the tank. And then he lost the bowl. Well, I looked at the tank, and the tank was pristine. So I'm not too worried about that. However, what I am kind of worried about is maybe there's just stuff I can't see because the inlet for the fuel is not right here or above it. And I think I was right for that worry. Oh, something's happening. what we're going to do is we're going to take off this. Where's my 10 millimeter? Of course, that's what's missing here. It's like a little, oh. Break the seal a little bit. That's really not wanting to come off. Let's just see what happens if we do this. It's probably not the best of ideas, but nothing too amazing occurred. Just see if it freed anything up. Oh yeah. So that looks a little old, but it was a month ago that you put it in there. That doesn't really compute. However, a lot of that could just be mixing with the bowl down there, but not right now. But at the same time, this is totally burnable, especially for this. So I'm not going to be too worried about it. And more importantly, I don't see any junk, and I don't see any water. So I feel pretty good about putting this on. Two things. I was reading the amps off at 12 volt. When doing the math, I think this should be closer to about 20 amps, which was getting me a little concerned because the reason why I need this is I have a very small 110 volt, you probably can't see a whole lot. Anyway, 110 volt flux core as well as a stick machine that I'm going to be using to do minor repairs on stuff like trailers. There we go. So it just goes in a little hole that's in there. And I need a minimum of 20 amps. Now, I rarely put that machine above medium, so I think this should suffice. If not, I'll look for a new one. But when I saw this, I'm like, should be okay. You know? If not, though, it at least will sell well. You know what I mean? It's probably an electrician out there or a welder out there going off on how you need a certain percentage higher and this is a bad idea and blah 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 blah. No, I literally mean like small repairs. If it is a larger repair, I tell them to come to my house where I have my normal machines. And if they can't come to my house, then I pretty much tell them to go somewhere else for a large repair because, one, I'm not a mobile welder, and two, if you are needing those services, you're not going to be calling me. So that's what this machine is going to be used for in the future. Something to keep in the back of my truck or throw in the back. I don't really want to carry this thing in the back of it. As much as I love my cover, it's not exactly Fort Knox. And just carrying a random generator back, you know, maybe you go to a hardware store and you find something big and takes up a lot of space, and you go back and you realize there's a generator in the way, stuff like that. So, anyway, I didn't put that clip on. If it works, I'll come back. Not too worried about it. Usually I wouldn't put the air filter on, but this is such an easy air filter. Not gonna worry too much about it. It does have that stupid cover though. Maybe I won't. But at the same time, the air filter is kind of nice to have on there. Just so you can see if everything's running like where it should be. Because the air filter will put a little bit of a restriction in the airflow, and your machine is oftentimes jetted for that restriction, or it should be. If it's not, then kind of question your machine, but I'm not going to put the 10 millimeter in the back, because if I am going to be taking this off, so what's the point of taking everything off? Probably don't need to put all these in, but they're pretty easy. Foam filter, I can feel it already has oil in it, so that's good. If yours does not have oil, you should oil it. These are meant to be oiled. Not like drenched in oil, but a light oil film. You know when you have like that little green pre-filter for majority of your machines? Same principle, except the oil kind of just collects in that medium and it filters out the fine particles. So important to do that, especially if it's going to be running in a dusty place, and potentially this one might be. So I'm going to put you in the stand and we'll see if this turns on. Now if you're one of these three people, and trust me, I'm like three of the three, don't take offense to this, but the three types of men in this world that have the most opinions are mechanics, welders, and dudes who modify their trucks. And going off a tangent on that one, if you ever say the word spacer for anything, you are in for a mouthful or earful. I'm not going to go over my opinions on any of those, but let's just say there's going to be a lot. So this is dangerous. It's both mechanic and potentially welding, except we're not going to be talking about welding, but just know that yes, it is a small welder, small repairs, things that kind of broke off, adding maybe like a weed eater rack that's super light, stuff like that. So now that we have that out of our way, I don't remember if that's on or choke or what. Well, that is awesome. I was originally concerned. In fact, I was even starting to try to flash it. But then I realized there's a switch right here that says AC on and off. If you're unaware, that means alternating current, which means pretty much anything that's not DC. It works. I still need to stress test this, making sure that it's putting out the right voltage and all that stuff. But that very well might be a separate video. I don't know. But it runs. It's making power. I'm happy. $25. Well worth it. And it's not chugging. Do you want to put a load on it? Let's put a load on it. Why not, you know? Let's get the load ready. So this is 2500. Yeah. So what's the rule of thumb? Technically, shouldn't go above like 75%, 60%, 75%, 80% if you really want to go a little loose with those guidelines. This is 1500 watts. So what is that? 1,000 on the table. I'm not going to plug it in. Yeah, appear to have no problem. 1500 watts straight up, no issue. There's a little meter right here that kind of tells you the voltage coming out, and it kind of started off a little high, like 130, based on what I'm seeing. When I put the load on there, went down to like a little above 120, probably like 121, 122, based on that meter. I don't know how accurate that is, but if that is accurate, that's pretty good. At 122 volts with a 1500 load, I would never really personally exceed maybe 2000, 2100, 2200 if need be. And at that point, you're probably expecting to see like 118 at that rate. That's well within what I think. The engine speed sounds nice. I don't really see a problem. So I think this is a good machine. So if you have one of these Honda EM2500s and you have this problem, make sure, one, if you are going to be replacing the carburetor, that's the right carburetor. And two, if you don't want to replace the carburetor, don't strip it out. While we got super lucky and I had all the parts available, take the carburetor off. If your bull looks like this and just had a little bit of water in there, you can get away with potentially not even taking the jet out. Take your air compressor, shove it up there, give it a good blowing. I know I said. And you probably will be okay. If you really want to go the extra mile, make sure your screwdriver is a perfect fit, and then take it out, put a decent amount of pressure in there. You don't want to scrape away the brass. It's a very soft metal. It's a very delicate thing. Don't mess it up. Otherwise, you are going down the road of replacing it. But we got lucky. Pretty easy carb clean. I'm going to go ahead and leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram at SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, definitely keep watching. Subscribe, put a thumbs up. If this helped you out, put a thumbs up, because a thumbs up definitely helps me out. And I'll see you on the next video. You have a good rest of your day.